Good morning. This is Laura with Laura's View and Tarot 2. And today we're going to do another subscriber spotlight. With us, we have Seth Gabriel. And Seth, I've gotten to know a little bit in the comments. He tends to put real encouraging affirmations in there and just real positive comments and even occasionally some poetry. Good morning, Seth. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Guten Morgen, Laura.
And also, Seth, we've got Julie joining us from Utah. So she's my moderator and kind of helps me with these because I'm not a professional interviewer by any means, but I wanted everybody to have an avenue to start putting some voices and faces, with the people that show up in the comments and are active on the channel. And that definitely is you. So I had a question for you. One of the first ones I like to ask people is, could you give me a little overview of how you woke up, especially like if there was a pivotal event? We don't have to know the whole process, but it's kind of nice to know what starts it for people because it's a different thing for everybody.
Yeah, so I first started to wake up when I had what I would call a supernatural experience where my third eye blew open basically one day and I could see all of this weird stuff in the field. I could see programs in people, but I could also start to see auras regularly after that too. And then the global situation started to escalate, I suppose, and I started perceiving everybody freaking out, or most people around me freaking out and going into fear. And while I was just kind of observing more, and ever since then, it kind of got I'd already, I would say, I was already starting to awaken for a couple of years before that, and then that accelerated it, and I just started going into, I never believed the narrative, and then I didn't know what it was, but I just knew it wasn't what they were saying. And all these restrictions were arbitrary. They didn't really make, moral or logical sense. They were certainly not heart centered. And yeah, and ever since then, I switched like politically to center right, I suppose, although I don't really like those labels. And I just started looking into, it's like going down all the rabbit holes, like trying to figure out everything about everything, and even into the esoteric, like who are we really, where do we really come from? What is the human body actually? What is this realm, this planet that we even live on, which I'm still not completely sure, but I feel like I know more now. And yeah, and ever since then, I've just been kind of like, yeah, that's when my how and when my awakening started, and it's just been unfolding since then.
So it
Yeah.
sounds like you had a kind of a esoteric awakening, and that kind of triggered as you became aware that the world around you wasn't quite or had more layers than you thought. You were noticing then also in the geopolitical arena. Am I getting that right? That it kind of third eye opened and then you started looking at everything with a more with all three eyes.
Yeah, well, just from a wider perspective, yeah, just seeing, yeah, especially in politics, sure, like just seeing through all the deception and the manipulation, the fraud, and how, all these sides, all these divisions are really arbitrary fundamentally, because we're all really just one, collective. We have individuality, but we're not really, there's not so much division, like they say. They use that, the control, the dark ones use all of these divisions, these devices of division, of religion and politics and economics, and on and on and on, to divide everybody. And it's really easy to get, it still could be easy for me to get sucked into that, and I kind of was, um for a while, even until recently. And now I'm just more about neutrality. Like I want to have my individuality and working to reclaim my sovereignty in all ways. But I also just, I don't have to be friends with everybody. I don't expect that either. But I would like to see more civility, and just more mutual respect, that we don't all have to agree on everything, but we do I all have to allow everybody to believe whatever they want, because that's the name of the game here, is free will. Is you can believe whatever you want. So
I
yeah.
like
I
that.
very much agree. Julie, take it away.
Oh, sorry. No, hi everyone, and hi Seth. It's so great to see you. I like that respect. That brings us all together. If you can respect, we don't have to agree, but we can respect each other. And yeah, and this whole thing is caused a lot of division. So I like that word.
Well, evil kind of needs us to stay separated. They need us into smaller, since we have them outnumbered, is my belief. There are more regular good human beings than there are evil. And so dividing us is how they try to control. And when we see ourselves as one human race and that everybody deserves to have some, now I see it more as everybody deserves common courtesy. And then that respect is an earned something you give someone, but that courteous, absolutely, and treated respectfully is definitely mandatory. That's kind of how I see. Now, Seth, you mentioned something about, and I know we're kind of watching the time, and we want to show some different highlights of your special old soul loving self. But you mentioned being able to see some programming in people, and that made me curious. Can you elaborate on that a little bit and tell us, as the supposed cure rolled out, could you see a change in what you were noticing with people with your third eye?
Yeah, so that day when it really blew open, like visually, I could see what I would describe as programs in people. It was like little video clips in their gut, in their third chakra, right, which is the identity. It's the intuition and the ego identity. It's both sides of the same thing. I could literally, it was like on the bus, and I could see, you know, uh, there was a woman, a disabled woman, in the front of the bus, and I could see this little image or it was like a little video looking thing of a little girl on the bus, like inside of her, like like holding a teddy bear, going like this, and I could see like similar things in other people around me, and then just perceptually, like I can't see that stuff visually all the time. It was just kind of like a special occurrence, although maybe in down the line I will, because some people do see all the non-physical stuff all the time too, and that would be even more overwhelming for my reality as an empath, who's a very sensitive old soul, but very sensitive in a dense reality here. But yeah, just perceptually after that, like I was at a housing facility on the way to getting Section 8 housing. And it was really interesting seeing in LA at the time. And it was really interesting seeing like all the staff becoming like shells of themselves. I could really see just like their ego, like their power center just crashed when this thing started. And they were not, like they just were not, they were not themselves. They weren't like confident at all anymore. They were just in total fear. And 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 it was just, and then I just, and my family and friends just seeing, and and I started saying, well, like, the mask thing, it's just like the yellow star in Nazi Germany. It's the same thing, and um and just I started pointing out, like, look at all these restrictions are just like all these other restrictions they've had in communist countries, and and in World War II. And, you know, it's the same thing. And I couldn't seem to, oh, no, you're wrong. Dr. Fauci this and the NHS that, and we have to do what they say. We have to do what the authorities say. And I'm like, no, you don't. You only do it because you're choosing to. And it doesn't actually make, but yeah, just, but then I saw the people who were more awake, who I kind of banded with them more. Like there were a couple of people in the facility that were not just obedient, you know, and I could really, and then just empathically, I could really feel like this drop. It was like really, really quiet, which I liked, and it got really clean, you know, in the air. It was like within a few days of the LA, California lockdown, the air got like super clean, and all this wildlife started coming up more, and that was cool. But then energetically, I could really feel just this hanging silent fear energy like all around. And then yeah, and that was just part of like me realizing through a healer, another intuitive reflecting to me, you're an empath, so that's why you have all these issues that you had, or that's a large reason. Like I started reading about it more, and I'm like, oh, this is what I am, like, again, I guess, in this life. And
Yeah, it's a journey of discovery. It definitely is. Well, I think everybody should be on one, but some people don't choose that path, you know. They stay in a very literal, concrete, 24-hour 3D reality. And I don't think people that end up enjoying my channel, there's very many like that there. We're all, I think, trying to discover and grow and just open to the fact that there's way more to our existence than we were taught and told. So
Yeah, recognizing, like you were saying, Seth, you were recognizing, you knew you had some inner feelings, but I think that's true with all of us here today, is we're recognizing things within us that have woken up and are sharp and keen, and it's like a guide, it's like a compass. So cool.
yeah. Well, Seth, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but you have been willing in the past to share some of your poetry in my comments. And I wondered if you had anything available that you would like to share with us today to kind of, again, spotlight, you know, the things that make you truly unique and special. And I think your poetry might be one of those items.
oh, sure, yeah, I would love to. Yeah. Yeah, and thank you for the opportunity to share it
Absolutely.
on your channel. So this is the last poem I wrote a few days ago, or I channeled, as I call it now, and this is called The God Spark. We have the God Spark. They do not. We have the All Spark. They do not. We are made in the One's image. They are not. We never fell from heaven. Not really. They did. We are made of love, of light, and they are not, and they never will be. Not so long as they do and view what they do as they do with children. Though the light of love may dim or appear to do so, it can never die, can never really be extinguished. And though a mortal coil of consciousness may live but a whisper, or extend through an eon, these ones we be in this reality, fragile though and limited though they may appear, are not truly. Nay, quite to the contrary. We humans are so blessed to be housed in vessels of exquisite and powerful divine design. Indeed, I submit we are multidimensional magical manifestors, capable of creating worlds upon worlds upon worlds, and so causing ripples and gargantuan royals through the very quantum field of creation. Indeed, we are not small. We are not slaves. We are not followers. We are not subscribers and consumers and viewers and on and on. We are creator gods. But only if we want to be. Only if we choose to be. So then, I know more and more now what I choose. What do you?
Oh, wow. Bravo. That was so cool. I love your enthusiasm and your joy, and it's so alive. Thank you, Seth. You know what? I think a couple of poems that you had shared in the comments, I'm like, wow, I've been writing music. I love uplifting melodic music. I played it when I was a teen, and I'm referring back to that because it brings me such joy. And I'm like, I need one of his poems to go with one of my songs. So you never know. One of these days, maybe we'll collaborate.
Oh,
Beautiful.
I would
Beautiful.
love that. Yeah.
Well, Seth,
Thank
that
you.
gave me goosebumps. It really did. And one spot almost made me cry. So
Yeah.
it was beautiful, very beautiful. When your video ends up going up, if you put a comment and you want to like put the lyric, the poem, you know, in a comment or something, I'll pin it so people can see what you shared. Or even if you just want to leave a note, like the first lady that I did, she put a thank you to everybody for their kind comments, and I pinned her comment. I'll be glad to do the same for you. So before we wrap this up, because it is just a spotlight, is there anything that you personally consider to be your claim to fame?
Yeah, I would say that I'm realizing more and more just my own magical ability to influence the field. So like I've just, there's all kinds of experiences I could go into, but I basically am realizing now if I want something then it's in alignment with the field. I don't really have to do anything really, or very little. I can just think of it. I can just say it, intend it, and then it's so, and it happens. And it's kind of like I see myself as an alchemist, as a magician in training, and like I'm here to like express my gifts and then teach other people how to do this stuff. Like I fixed my car with my magic basically earlier in the year, and I will just tell people this. I just did a ritual, and I just intuited to do this, and I just prayed on it, and I blessed it. I said everything works as good or better as it did out of the factory floor when it was first made. And then I took it for a ride, and everything was significantly better. Even the shocks were better, which I didn't even personally expect.
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
expect. And it and then I just started telling whoever I thought to tell. And I most people I think are still resistant to hearing stuff like this, but we're all magical. That's my claim, is like to embody magic, my magic, my magicality, my God power, and then to share that and inspire that in others however I can. So
I love that, embracing your magic and then inspiring others to discover and use theirs. I mean, what a great claim to fame that is. Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Well, Julie, one last thing from you, and then we're gonna wrap this up. What you have, sweetie?
Okay, sorry. I get so excited. Sorry. No, I wish our children can be taught. They're magical, just like he was saying. I envision, you know, this is a taught thing. We are teaching ourselves, but if it would just be taught that we have this power, God-given power. So that's just great. That's a claim to fame all of us should have. Beautiful. Thank you.
Absolutely. Julie, thank you for sitting in on this interview, because you provide some of the heart chakra to what I do, definitely. And Seth,
Oh,
thank you for coming in and letting us do a spotlight of some of, just a little bit, snippets of your very special essence and nature. And thank you so much.
oh, thank you. I love being cheerleaders for our community. It's just so beautiful, and we're growing, and everyone deserves to be cheered on. And Seth, you're a beautiful soul, and it was so great to chat with you. Thanks for having me. And yeah, we'll chat more and see you in the comments and stuff. Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
You're
Bye,
welcome. Thank
Julie.
you, Julie. Take care.
Okay, again,
Good luck.
thank you, Seth. And I'm going to wrap this up. This is a spotlight segment of Seth Gabriel from Laura's View and Tarot 2. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.